Here's my honest review of Carnival Freedom. You know, the sad one with no whale tail.
Okay, so it may not be the ugliest cruise ship per se, but it is distinctive because of its obviously damaged funnel or whale tail, which was lost in a fire on March 23rd, 2024. Carnival has since repaired the funnel, but it looks like they're not going to actually restore it to its original whale tail appearance. Carnival Freedom entered service in 2007, so while it's not one of the oldest ships, those are from more the late 90s, walking around and viewing the decor, it makes the ship feel quite dated. And honestly, it looks like it was built and designed prior to 2007. It definitely could use a decor refresh. Like a lot of other Carnival ships built around this time, it does have the atrium, which is a great location for parties and for live music. This is one thing that I really appreciate about the older ships. It is really fun when the cruise director hosts a party and everyone gathers around the balcony across multiple decks and levels of the ship to participate. It's also great to have because when there are deck parties on the Lido deck, those aren't always possible due to weather conditions. A lot of folks like these smaller size ships compared to Carnival XLs because of the fact that they're easy to navigate. I actually haven't found this personally to be the case, and I really don't like the older ships like Paradise, for example, because of the fact that the main dining room is situated in the center of the ship and it's often blocked off, making it difficult to get around. Here on Carnival Freedom, they have two main dining rooms, but while one is situated in the center of the ship, they generally left it open as a pass-through, which negated the annoying issue of having to go up or down a deck and over to get through on that particular level, which I appreciated. So overall, I did find Freedom to be pretty easy to navigate, although the elevators were slow, but that's an issue on almost every cruise ship. The casino was decent sized, and they do have a separate non-smoking and smoking section, although there's really no differentiation and the smoke bled over to the non-smoking section. The Lido deck is to be about as expected, and like most cruise ships, the pools are pretty small in size, and they did tend to get really crowded on sea days. Freedom does have a double occupancy of about 3,700 people and a gross tonnage of 110,000 pounds, so it is kind of a nice blend of not being too big nor being too small. Freedom includes the mainstays like Carnival favorites like Guy's Burgers and Blue Iguana, but it is lacking a lot of the specialty restaurants that you'll find in the Vista class and the Excel class ships. Unfortunately, I did find that lines were quite long at all of these locations and in the buffet area pretty much at all times. I personally found the service to be pretty exceptional, which is almost always the case on Carnival ships. Their staff and crew really are phenomenal, but it's clear that they are still a little short-staffed, which has been a problem as cruise lines have returned to service post-2020. The one notable area of service, at least in terms of deficiency on Freedom, in my experience, was in the casino. It was very difficult to get bar service, and it was a complaint that was shared by many of my fellow cruisers. In my personal experience, across dozens of cruises, I've never had worse bar service, but other than that, service was pretty darn good. Like my Carnival experiences in all other cases, I also experienced great service with my room steward. He was great, super friendly, and very attentive. As you can see, we had an interior stateroom, and one thing that I do appreciate about these slightly older ships compared to the newer ones is that they do tend to be a little bit better designed and they are larger in size. The Carnival Excel staterooms, for example, have shrunk pretty significantly, so this felt roomy in comparison to those. One source of frustration we experienced on Carnival Freedom, which is similar to a lot of the other ships of this generation, is an absence of electrical outlets and a very small in-stateroom television. As for the outlets, we literally had one outlet, which was not located anywhere near the bed, so I'm very thankful that I had my handy cruise travel extension cord with me. Most cruise lines, including Carnival, will allow the use of an extension cord as long as it is a non-surge protected cord. Freedom is one of Carnival's Conquest class ships, joining sister ships Carnival Conquest, Carnival Glory, Carnival Valor, Carnival Liberty, so they're all pretty comparable. So if you're sailing on one of these cruise ships, you'll probably have a stateroom like this and an absence of electrical outlets, so come prepared and bring your cord. Non-surge, of course. And the bathroom here does have that kind of annoying fabric curtain that kind of sticks to you when you take a shower, unlike the more pleasant, in my opinion, glass shower doors that you'll find on the Excel class ships. Like many other Carnival ships, they provide shower gel and shampoo, but they do not provide conditioner. Generally speaking, Carnival tends to deploy its older ships like Carnival Freedom on those more affordable, short Bahamas sailings that are run around 4 to 5 days. Because of the short durations of these cruises and the fact that they are more affordable, you will generally find more of a quote, booze cruise crowd. That means folks that tend to drink a little more heavily, buy the drink package, and act a little rowdier. This was definitely my experience here on the Carnival Freedom, and I actually saw firsthand a skirmish that broke out while we were still in port and hadn't even set sail yet. So these types of cruises on these types of class of cruise ships do tend to have a reputation for this, but I encourage cruisers to not be dissuaded by this because it's still a great time. One thing I really did like about Freedom is I loved the theater, and I liked the fact that they hosted one comedy show here, which is great because overcrowding in the comedy venues, in my opinion, is a pretty big problem with Carnival Cruise Lines. Overall, I really prefer the Vista and Excel class ships, but this is a solid one for a short cruise.